Hey Adam, to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as well as your company Edge?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Adam Whyte. I am the founder and CEO of Edge. My personal background is in sports and the law. So I was a sports law attorney from 2009 to 2015. I had the
Mhm.
fortune of working with big professional sports teams in Europe, as well as some big athletes, as well as some doctors that represented some of those athletes. And had a real focus on two areas of the law, which were contract and litigation. Um, and that kind of led me to Edge because Edge is a platform that is designed to tame the wild west of esports. We are a data-driven payments platform, but
Mhm.
what we provide at its core are the toolkit for tournament organizers and teams to build their esports back office. And that really manifests in three things, which are digital contracts, automated payments, and true data. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
And can you walk me through that background story? Like, how did you first come up with the idea for Edge?
Um, yeah. So 2015, I had played probably at that stage around 20,000 games of Hearthstone in the year. I've now played about 30. But that one year, I was really focused on this. I was doing business school, so maybe that was a mistake. But I met this kid who was I was entering tournaments, and I met this kid who was the number one player in the UK. His name was George C. And he said to me, "Look, I'm a pro gamer, and I'm about to sign for this team." And I said, "Great, can I see the contract?" I was friends with him at this stage.
Mhm.
And he said, "Sure, yeah, go for it." So I reviewed it, and I said, "Look, George, you can't sign that for two reasons. The first reason is you're 15, so you can't sign that agreement. And the second reason is that it contains a number of terms which are going to make it very difficult for you to get paid." And and then George introduced me to his friend, who introduced me to his friend, who introduced me to this team, and I just kept widening my network, and everyone had the same problem, which was I didn't get paid. And I thought, like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is it so difficult for people to get paid? And then as I sort of swam around in the industry and dug deeper, I I kind of just started listening and started saying, like, so why is this such an issue? And there were eight reasons that kind of tumbled out of this, but you really put them into three big pots, which were I don't know what a contract is, I don't know what an invoice is, I don't know how to get paid. So there's
Mhm.
that gamer ignorance. You then have the lack of access to capital for early stage esports institutions. So if you're about to set up a tournament with like $5,000 prize money, you probably don't have $5,000 to pay an attorney to draft
Right.
all of the league regulations.
Mhm.
So you get people doing cowboy stuff, which is why it's often referred to as the Wild West. And the third thing is that moving money internationally is being done so right now with analog processes. So it's like a spreadsheet and PayPal's and clicking click 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 pay. And I said, well, that's also crazy. So manual processes, industry immaturity, and lack of access to capital. I'm like, well, how can we really solve those problems and make sure that when a gamer wins, he gets paid? And that is really what we've done is we've built that sort of technical solution.
And does the name Edge have any meaning behind it?
We believe that if you have Edge, you will save 25% of your back office fees and you will have a significant edge on your competitors.
And so you mentioned earlier too that you're kind of a lifelong gamer, and I found a bio from Maximizing Sport in Pubs that says you played 40,000 games of Hearthstone, but earlier you said 30,000 right now. Um,
Yeah, that's interesting. It's definitely 30,000. I don't know where they got 40,000 from, but that's like you whisper something to someone and at the end of 10 people. Yeah.
and you also have a 2% Fortnite win record, and you once found a secret room in Mario 64. Are those correct as well?
You're awesome. So I have a 1% Fortnite win record. Not, does it say 2%?
It does.
I have a 1% Fortnite win record. I think so anyway, I'm pretty sure. And I did find a secret room in Mario, and I sent it to Nintendo Power, and I said, "Hey, this is cool." And I have no idea what happened after that. But the secret room is still like very much a thing. You can find it, and it's talked about on the internet. This was pre-internet. That's why it was such a moment for me, because finding glitches was very hard. Right? There was no YouTube.
Right.
So, yeah, those are true though. Yeah.
So personally, coming from an Asian background, my parents used to always be mad at me for playing games back in middle school. And so I was wondering what you would say to these parents and what sort of impact has gaming had on your life?
Wow. Okay, so what I would say is that if your kid plays 12 hours of Fortnite a day, then they have an issue. And if they play 12 hours of basketball a day, they have an issue. And if they study for 12 hours a day, they have an issue. I think gaming teaches you an insane amount that people are not, they're only just becoming aware of. So reward-based learning is scientifically proven to be the best way to teach human beings to do things. So you give a monkey a grape for doing something, they'll do it as long as you keep giving them a grape, as long as you reward them. Video games do that. So they allow for you to absorb information, both actively, so clicking on boxes, finding out about things, and passively, because there are instances happening around you in the game. NPCs are interacting, history is being presented to you in Assassin's Creed, tactics are being displayed in war games. And so you're learning an enormous amount during that time.
Right.
And the other thing I would say is that gaming teaches your brain to think about things that you're not really aware that it's doing. So physics, for example, if you're lining up a shot, your brain is processing insane calculations. And if the other thing is, if you're playing that game with teammates, you get really good at relaying information very quickly to your teammates in a strategic fashion. So you improve your communication skills. And if you're the leader, you're improving your leadership skills. So now you're looking at history, problem solving, physics, teamwork, cooperation. I mean, I think all of those tools are incredibly important in it, especially in today's business environment where soft skills will be the focus. And what I would say to parents is, like, if you engage with your kids and make gaming a fun activity for the family, then I think those horror stories of like not being allowed to play and staying up until 2 a.m., they go away. Because once you say that, hey, you're allowed to do this, like this is cool, we can do this together as a family, you'll start seeing kids being like, well, fuck that, I don't want to do that with mom and dad. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that answer. And so you talked about this earlier as well. You used to be a sports lawyer. So what made you want to take that jump from practicing law to running your own company?
Oh, wow. It's a really good question. I've never been asked that before. All right. Well, I've always been like inherently creative. I've always played music. I've always played sports. I've always acted. So being a lawyer was cool because I got to act in the courtroom and I got to be creative in the preparation of arguments. But ultimately, you still are being given a load of work and being told, there's the problem, fix it. And sometimes I would be like, oh, but if you just gave me this before, I would have been able to fix it and we wouldn't have been here. And so I guess I got a little bit tired of executing. I wanted to be creating.
Okay.
The second thing is I worked on 3 cases which really impacted me personally, and I said I don't want to do this anymore. And those were a racism case involving Mario Balotelli. So I had to defend his club, and I didn't like that because I knew that the player was guilty. There was I was defending Lance Armstrong's doctor for a period of time, a guy called Del Moral. And funny, Del Moral means of the morals. And I just thought, you know what? I don't really want to be part of this, because I knew that Lance was doping. And the third one was I worked on a case involving a club in Egypt called El Masri. And what had happened with 74 people had died at a football match in 2011 following the Arab Spring. And so I was representing the club that was found guilty of, criminal sanctions for killing these people. We won the case, but it was very difficult to hear the facts of the case. So I decided at that point, like, I need to find another career. And I guess my brother had started a startup which was in Silicon Valley, and it exited to Snapchat. So I went, maybe I can do that.
So you've been working on Edge for over 2 years now. What would you say was the most challenging moment for you so far in starting your own business?
The most challenging thing in starting my own business. Well, there's a few things. I'm just trying to say what's the most, like, raising the first $10,000 is super hard. That's like, everyone thinks you're crazy and you've just quit your job and what are you doing? Trust, finding people you can trust has been the hardest thing. I think it's the most important. It took us until probably January 2020 to find a team of individuals that we trust completely, and every single person who's part of Edge now is in this circle, and there's a circle of trust that's been the hardest thing, is building that unassailable circle of trust. That's what it is. That's been the hardest.
And kind of on the flip side, what has been the best, most satisfying moment for you so far?
Yana, for sure. Yana. Yeah. March the 18th, I was sat with my partner, Claire, and I said, Breath of the Wild's awesome. Video games are awesome. We can connect with video games during a time of social isolation. Everyone is getting sick. Everyone's losing their jobs, but nobody's talking about the loneliness. Let's use video games to create light in the darkness, and we'll bring people together around video games. And we our company Edge worked 12 hours a day to launch a 20-hour gaming festival 6 weeks later. And that was called Yana, You Are Not Alone. And that ran from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. And we had partnerships with Facebook Gaming, with Ubisoft, with Barclays Bank, with Premier Rugby, with, unbelievable brands.
Wow.
And we launched this incredible event that had more than 1.5 million views in 6 weeks. So for our business to pull that off, people were asking us, like, well, who's behind this? What agency? Like, is it CAA? Is it Wasserman? Is it WPP? It's a startup with like 7 people.
Wow.
And they're like, whoa. So after that, now I feel quite unassailable. I'm like, we can do anything. I have no doubt in the success of Edge now. Mm-hmm. There's too much talent to let it fail. So that was great. That was the best day of my life, for sure.
And do you have any advice for someone like me who's still a student but is interested in entrepreneurship and maybe wants to start a company in the future?
Yes, my advice remains the same as what I told you in January. Do what you love, because it sucks a lot of the time. It really hurts. It's really hard. It's really painful. And if you're doing something you don't love, you don't want to wake up for it. I don't feel like I'm working 14 hours a day or 12 hours a day. Let's be realistic. It's more like 12. I don't feel like I'm doing it because I love esports, I love gaming, and I love our team. But I do remember from I stopped practicing law in 2015. From 2015 to 2017, when I was bouncing around other jobs, I hated it, man. I hated it so much. I was like, I don't want to. And another advice is, like, just surround yourself with people you like. So do what you love and be around people you like, because honestly, like, you're here for so little amount of time. You might as well be extremely happy doing what you're doing.
Okay, so before we end, I have prepared 8 rapid fire questions. So just try to answer them as fast as possible.
All right, so the first one, what is your favorite video game?
Super Mario 64.
What's your favorite Hearthstone hero?
Warlock.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox begrudgingly.
What's something new that you learned in quarantine?
I really learned about what's important to people. The true importance, the true important things.
Who is your greatest source of inspiration?
My mother.
If you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be?
Arsene Wenger.
And the last question, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received. There's only two things that matter in life: attitude and aptitude.
Gotcha. That's it for today's interview. Thank you, Adam, for taking the time to do this. I know you're super busy. I love your energy and
I lost you again, Rick. Just hang on. Are you there?
That's it for today's interview. Thank you, Adam, for taking the time to do this. I love your energy and your advice. Stay safe, and I wish you and Edge the best of luck.